Every hour, somewhere in the world, a woman is murdered, just because she's a woman. From brutal honor killings to violent attacks by partners and strangers, femicide is a global crisis that continues to claim innocent lives. But why does this keep happening? And what can we do to stop it? In this video, we uncover the shocking truth behind some of the most heartbreaking cases and the fight for justice that follows. Stay with us as we shed light on the dark reality of femicide around the world. Anita Kabi, a 26-year-old nurse and former beauty queen from Sydney, Australia, was brutally murdered on February 2nd, 1986. While walking home from Blacktown Station, she was abducted by 5 men: John Travers, Michael Murdoch, and the 3 Murphy brothers. They dragged her into a stolen car, drove her to a remote field, and subjected her to horrific violence, including sexual assault and torture. Ultimately, John Travers slit her throat to silence her. Her brutal murder shocked the nation, leading to widespread outrage and calls for justice. All 5 men were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Farkhunda Malikzada, a 27-year-old Afghan woman, was brutally murdered on March 19, 2015, in Kabul, Afghanistan. She was falsely accused of burning the Quran by a local shrine caretaker, which led to an enraged mob attacking her near the Shah Do Shamshira shrine. The crowd, consisting mostly of men, beat her, ran her over with a car, and set her body on fire while police failed to intervene. Later investigations confirmed she was innocent. Her horrific murder sparked nationwide and global outrage, leading to protests against violence and injustice towards women in Afghanistan. Jyoti Singh, a 23-year-old medical student from Delhi, India, was brutally attacked on December 16, 2012. She was traveling home with a friend after watching a movie when they boarded a private bus. Inside, 6 men, including the driver, lured them into a trap. Jyoti was beaten, gang-raped, and tortured with a metal rod before being thrown from the moving bus, along with her injured friend. Despite receiving treatment in India and later in Singapore, she succumbed to her injuries on December 29, 2012. Her horrific assault sparked nationwide protests, leading to stricter laws against sexual violence in India.
Ci fa piacere salutarti, ti chiamo io domani magari. Ti va bene? Sì, sono con 2 mie amiche, vengono per cena e poi stiamo un po' insieme. Voi state tutti bene? Salutami tutti.
Giulia Cecchettin, a 22-year-old woman from Viganovo, Italy, was tragically murdered by her ex-boyfriend, Filippo Turetta. On November 11, 2023, she was last seen with him in their car near Fosso. Filippo attacked her violently, stabbing her 70 times in what appeared to be a premeditated act of femicide. After the attack, he fled, leaving her body near a remote area by Lake Barses. Her disappearance sparked a nationwide search, and days later, Filippo was arrested in Germany. Giulia's murder reignited discussions in Italy about gender-based violence and the need for stronger protections for women. Kirsty Treloar, a 20-year-old woman from Hackney, East London, was brutally murdered on January 2, 2012, by her boyfriend, Miles Williams. Despite promising not to harm her, Williams broke into her family home and launched a violent attack after she tried to end their abusive relationship. He stabbed Kirsty multiple times in front of her family before dragging her into a car and driving away. Her body was later found in an alleyway, having suffered over 29 stab wounds. Williams was arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Kirsty's tragic death became a stark reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. Noor Muqaddam, a 27-year-old woman from Islamabad, Pakistan, was brutally murdered on July 20th, 2021, by Zahir Jaffer, a man she had known for years. She was held captive at his home, where he tortured and eventually beheaded her after she refused to rekindle their relationship. Noor had attempted to escape multiple times, but Zahir, with the help of his household staff, prevented her. Her gruesome murder shocked the nation, sparking widespread protests against gender-based violence. Zahir Jaffer was later convicted and sentenced to death, symbolizing a rare moment of justice in Pakistan's fight against femicide. Neema Dalma, a 28-year-old Tibetan woman, was brutally attacked in Toronto, Canada. On the morning of June 5, 2022, she was set on fire at Kipling Station by a man named Tenzin Norbu. The attack was sudden and unprovoked, leaving her with severe burns. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Neema succumbed to her injuries on July 5, 2022. The attack was later ruled as a hate-motivated act, sending shockwaves through the Tibetan community and beyond. Özgecan Aslan, a 20-year-old university student from Mersin, Turkey, was brutally murdered on February 11, 2015. She was traveling home on a minibus when the driver, Ahmet Sufi Altan Dukan, attempted to sexually assault her. When she resisted and fought back, he stabbed her multiple times and then killed her with an iron bar. With the help of his father and a friend, he burned her body and dumped it in a riverbed. Her murder sparked nationwide protests against gender-based violence and femicide in Turkey, becoming a symbol of the fight for women's rights and justice. Sabina Nessa, a 28-year-old primary school teacher from Kidbrooke, Greenwich, London, was brutally murdered on September 17, 2021. She was walking through Cater Park on her way to meet a friend when she was attacked by Kochi Selimaj, a 36-year-old stranger. Selimaj, driven by misogynistic and violent intentions, ambushed Sabina, striking her repeatedly before carrying her into a secluded area and strangling her. Her body was discovered the next day. Selimaj was later arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Sabina's murder sparked national outrage, highlighting the ongoing issue of violence against women in the UK. Tatiana Spitzner, a 29-year-old lawyer from Guarapuava, Brazil, was brutally murdered by her husband, Luis Felipe Manveler, on July 22, 2018. The attack took place in their apartment after an argument escalated into physical violence. Security cameras captured Luis assaulting Tatiana in the building's elevator before dragging her lifeless body back inside. Shortly after, she fell from the fourth-floor balcony. Luis fled the scene but was later arrested while attempting to escape. The case became a symbol of domestic violence in Brazil, sparking widespread awareness and calls for justice for victims of femicide. Vanessa Vergioni, a 29-year-old woman from Brampton, Canada, a devoted mother whose world revolves around her son, was tragically murdered on December 13, 2021. She was attacked in her own home by her ex-boyfriend, Linville Ritchie. Ritchie murdered Vergioni by trying to cut off her head. She died from an incised wound to her neck, which was a near decapitation. Vergioni also had multiple sharp force injuries to her neck, head, torso, and extremities, and significant defensive wounds to her hands, arms, and lower extremities.
It doesn't change anything. No matter what happens, my daughter isn't coming back to me. And my grandson will always be motherless.